It started with a sound that still lives in the back of my head. Not a siren, not yelling, not even a gunshot. Just the quiet snap of leather and the soft scrape of boots on frozen pavement. The kind of sound you only notice when your instincts are already screaming at you. The parking lot lights were flickering, like they were about to give up the air. It was cutting cold, and I remember thinking, you know what? I've been awake too long for this. I just want to get home. I just want this night to be over. Then the white lights hit my mirrors. No siren, no warning, just a sudden blast like a spotlight dropping out of nowhere. And before I even had time to fully register it, I heard the voice, sharp, impatient, already loaded with judgment driver hands where I can see them. And right there in that first second, I knew this wasn't going to be a normal stop. This was going to be one of those moments that splits your life into before and after. I need to rewind a bit because if you've never worked a case that drags on for months, you don't really understand what exhaustion does to you. I'm not talking about being tired like you stayed up late scrolling your phone. I mean the kind of tired that settles into your bones. The kind where your thoughts slow down and your head starts to throb in that dull, warning way. I work federal cases, the slow burn kind, lots of sitting, lots of watching, lots of waiting for something to go wrong. For half a year, my team had been buried in an operation that was tearing apart a heroin ring, the kind of work that eats at you because you see what it does to neighborhoods, families, kids who never had a fair shot. That afternoon, we finally wrapped it up. Arrests made, warrants served, a clean ending on paper. But when the adrenaline faded, all I felt was empty and tired. I should have gone straight back to the office, filled out reports, done everything by the book, but my stomach had other plans. It was late cold, pushing past 11, and I pulled into a 24-hour corner store just to grab water and something to chew on before the drive home. I was dressed low-key, hoodie jeans, boots, nothing that screamed federal agent because when you've been undercover for months, you don't just snap back into polished mode. I sat in the car afterward, engine idling, taking a long drink, trying to loosen the tension in my neck. And that's when the lights came on. I did everything the way I was taught. Engine off, window down, hands on the wheel clear as day. 10 and 2, waiting. And I want to be clear about something. I wasn't worried about breaking the law. I was worried about the person walking toward my window. Because laws are supposed to be predictable. People aren't. The officer stayed in his cruiser for a moment, just watching me, and there's a weight you can feel when someone's staring at you with intent, like they're already writing the story in their head. When he finally stepped out, I saw him under the harsh lights, early 30s, stiff posture, jaw tight, one hand locked on his weapon, like he'd been itching for a reason all night. He didn't walk up like a guy checking plates. He walked up like a man looking for confirmation. "Step out of the car," he snapped. I kept my hands right where they were. "Evening, officer," I said, calm, because calm is sometimes the only shield you have. "Don't play games. Out now." "Is there a problem, officer? I'm just grabbing water and heading home." He shifted into that angle, standing just out of direct view, voice getting harder. I said, "Get out." And right there I felt that familiar fork in the road, the one a lot of people never have to think about. Do I explain and risk making him angrier, or do I comply silently and hope he doesn't invent a reason? Anyway, I went with training. "Okay, I'm complying. I need to inform you I'm federal law enforcement. My badge is on my right side, my firearm is on my left, my ID is in my back pocket." I said it slow, clear, exactly how we're trained to say it to avoid friendly fire. His face didn't soften. It changed, yeah, but not into fear. Into something closer to excitement. He didn't hear federal agent. He heard gun. "He's got a weapon," he yelled like there was a crowd watching. There wasn't. Just cold asphalt and the clerk inside the store, who I'd later learn had already ducked behind the counter. The next few seconds felt unreal. He yanked his gun out and rushed right up to my window, no cover, no hesitation, the barrel stopping inches from my head, close enough that I could see the metal, the tiny imperfections. His hand wasn't shaking. That's what scared me most. He was steady, like he'd rehearsed this moment in his head. "Don't move. Don't twitch. I will blow your head off." I've been in dangerous places before. I've sat across from criminals who would kill you for pocket change. But this was different. Criminals want something. You can sometimes talk to that. This man didn't want anything. He wanted to be right. He wanted control. I stared straight ahead, eyes locked on the windshield. "Officer," I said, lowering my voice, slowing it down. "My hands are on the wheel. I'm not moving. Please look at my hands." "Shut up," he barked. His breathing was heavy now, fast. "I know what you are. You roll in here with stolen cars thinking you own the place. Not tonight. This vehicle is government property," I said carefully. "I'm a federal agent if you let me reach for my credentials." "Liar," he snapped. "You FBI, look at you. You're a thug." That word hit hard not because it was shocking, but because it was familiar. I've been followed in stores, I've been questioned twice as hard in nice neighborhoods, I've watched people tense up when I walked into rooms I belonged in. You do everything right in life, and one person can still decide you're dangerous just because you exist in the wrong skin at the wrong time. Inside the store, the clerk finally called 911. I didn't know it yet, but that call mattered. Out in the lot, the officer kept giving me commands that contradicted each other. Freeze, then get out, then unbuckle. And every person who's ever studied use of force knows that's how people get killed. Officer, I said, choosing every word. Your weapon is pointed at my head. If I move to undo my seatbelt, you might fire. I need you to lower it so I can exit safely. Don't tell me what to do, he shouted, jabbing the barrel forward, this time striking my temple, a flash of pain heat spreading fast. Get out or I shoot. So I breathed, slow, deep. Okay, I said. I'm unbuckling with my left hand, slowly. Watch it, he screamed, finger tightening. I could see it, that last bit of slack disappearing. The belt clicked loose. The door was yanked open from the outside, cold air flooding in. Out, face down. Now, I stepped out. I'm a tall guy, and the moment I stood, I saw something shift in him, like my size made it worse. I dropped to my knees immediately, hands behind my head, ankles crossed. I'm a federal agent, I said again, louder. My credentials are on my belt. He didn't check. He kicked my legs apart hard. He grabbed my wrist and wrenched it back, slapping a cuff on so tight it burned. Pain shot through my shoulder. Headlights passed through the lot slow. A teenager held up a phone recording. The officer screamed at them to leave, waving his gun, then snapped it right back at me. For a split second, I thought about disarming him. I knew I could, but I also knew how it would look. A black man fighting a cop. Backup arriving mid-struggle. Yeah, that ends one way. So I stayed still. He hauled me up by the cuffs and slammed me against the car. Now let's see this fake badge, he sneered, unclipping my credentials and holding them under the light. I watched his face change when he saw it. The seal, the ID, the hologram. A normal officer would have stopped right there. He tossed it onto the hood. Fake, he muttered. Good forgery. That's when something inside me went cold. Not fear, clarity. You just threw federal credentials, I said, voice flat. You're done. He panicked, grabbed me by the neck, and then the lot exploded with sirens, red and blue lights washing over everything. 2 squad cars and an unmarked SUV skidded in fast. The officer smiled, actually smiled. Back up, over here, he's armed. But nobody ran towards me. They ran toward him. A sergeant jumped out, older guy, the kind of cop who's seen real chaos. One look at me, cuffed credentials on the hood, and his face went tight with anger. Back off, he shouted. Back off now. The officer looked confused, like the script wasn't working. Then the chief stepped out of the SUV. Calm, heavy footsteps. Voice low, but absolute. Officer, step away from the agent. The officer stammered, suddenly small. Chief, I intercepted a suspect. Step away, the chief repeated. Hand me your cuff key. He did. The chief uncuffed me, checked my injuries, listened as I told him about the muzzle strike. Then he turned to the officer. You profiled a federal agent. You ignored procedure. You escalated a parking lot stop into a deadly force encounter. He looked like a dealer, the officer blurted. Silence. Thick. Even the other cops looked away. A dealer, I said quietly. Or a black man in a nice car. The chief held out his hand. Badge, gun, radio. On the hood, now. You can't do this, the officer whispered. I can, the chief said, and I am. Watching him remove that badge felt surreal, like watching someone lose gravity. He was fired on the spot. And minutes later, my supervisor arrived, took one look, and said the words that sealed it. We're taking jurisdiction, assault on a federal officer, civil rights violation. They cuffed him. Real cuffs. The sound echoed, and for a moment it felt like the world exhaled. The story didn't end there. A teenager's video went viral. Overnight, millions of people saw what happened to me. Some were furious, some made excuses, some asked why I was there at all, like existing late at night needs justification. The department held a press conference. The chief said the right things. The internet argued, and that's the part I want you to sit with. I didn't win because I fought back. I won because someone recorded, because someone called 911, because a sergeant recognized me, because a chief decided the badge wouldn't protect bad behavior. That's justice. But it's also luck. And luck is a terrifying thing to rely on when your life is on the line. So let me ask you this. If that camera wasn't there, if that clerk didn't call, if the chief wasn't minutes away, how do you think that night ends? And how many nights like that never make it online? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was firing him on the spot the right call, or should it have gone through procedure? And if you've ever been judged, followed, or treated like a threat just for being who you are, tell that story too. Somebody reading needs to know they're not imagining it. If you want more real stories like this, told straight, hit like subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next one might sound like a movie too, but it's the kind of movie people are living through every day.